It is a tremendous kavod. It's such a big honor to introduce Soli Ganor together with, we have Nili and Nomi and Emmanuel and Itamar. And Yaakov, he just phoned that he said he couldn't make it tonight, but he'll come again. So, Soli, if you could tell our very distinguished guests how it all started, how you gave in 1939, Hanukkah time. What happened, Soli?
Well, what happened was that I went to my aunt's shop to get some money for Hanukkah gift because I gave away my Hanukkah gift that I got from my family. There was all the Platim, all the refugees came like Zorach. They needed money, so I gave my money to the committee. But then I wanted to see a movie, I didn't have any money.
And it was Laurel and Hardy.
So I went to my aunt, her name was Anushka. And she had a shop where she was catering for foreigners, for embassies. And when I came there, Mr. Sugar was there buying chocolates for his children. And I never seen a Japanese person, so I looked, kind of stared at him. My aunt said, "Don't stare, it's not nice. Come and meet His Excellency, the consul, the Japanese consul." And came, he shook my hand, and I immediately took to him. He was a kind person, you could see in his eyes. And he smiled at me. And he said to me, "Here's some Hanukkah gift for you too. And you heard about the Hanukkah." So I said, "Well, you're not my family, you know." I said, "Well, I'll be your uncle, Japanese uncle for the Hanukkah." So I said to him, "If you're my uncle, why don't you come to a Hanukkah party on Saturday?" And this is what happened. Yukiko and he and Hiroki came to the Hanukkah party. And that was the first time that he began to inquire about Jewish people. And there was a refugee like their father by the name of Rosenthal, lived in our house, he and his daughter. And they took my bedroom. And he came the first one to ask Sugihara if he can get a visa to Japan. And Sugihara was surprised to hear why should anybody want a visa to Japan, because everybody knew that Japan was allied with the Nazis. But the situation was so bad that they just wanted to get out of Lithuania because they knew that sooner or later the Germans will invade Lithuania too. So that's how it all started.
It's amazing. And in the book of Mrs. Sugihara, you have the book here, The Visas for Life. And if you can open, so I'll just show. This is a picture inside the book. I'll just bring it around. So yeah, this is it. Naomi, if you can just read, I'll just put this here. Naomi, could you just read what's written in the book? This is in the book, The Visas for Life.
Shiona Sugihara's decision to issue visas may have been influenced by a 14-year-old Jewish boy named Soli Ganor. He invited Mr. Sugihara to celebrate the first night of Hanukkah in 1939 with his family. This may have been Sugihara's first contact with Jewish family in Kaunas.
This is written inside her book.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And sorry, the picture that's in the book.
Yes.
She asked you for a picture?
She asked me for a picture, I gave her that.
That's good.
This picture was taken after the war.
Mm.
So I look a bit different.
Not so different.
The who one?
We can recognize you.
This is you.
Yeah, that's me.
Which year?
That is in 1945, after the liberation. I was liberated by the American Army. And strangely enough, the one who saved my life was a Japanese American.
Oh, that's really.
I have in his picture here.
Ah.
There was an American.
No, this is my father.
No, I have a picture.
Emmanuel,
Yeah, I
can
want
you
to
show the picture of your father? Can you show? And sorry, you remember Zorach, Warhaftig?
I remember, sure. That's what I remember what my mother said about. And it was a Sheda Bocher. He was good looking. I remember him as a
He was
boy.
35.
Huh?
My father was 35 years old.
Yeah. No, but he was a good looking man. This
When
is
did you meet my father?
in 39.
39?
39 or beginning of 40.
And
Beginning.
where did you meet him?
I think he represented the Mizrahi,
Uh-huh.
and we had a lot of Mizrahi people in Kovno. And then we met somewhere, I think they may even been in my heart, because he came to see this Rosenthal.
He want to see?
Came to see the
Your
refugee,
neighbor.
the one who came from Poland.
Yes.
His name was Rosenthal,
Ah.
and he stayed in our house as a refugee. That's what but I think I may have seen him in Japanese embassy too, because I used to go there to get stamps from Sugihara. I was a stamp collector.
Ah.
I used to play with that boy, he rocked it.
He is living?
No, he died
When?
in Los Angeles.
When? Many years ago?
And I seen him just before he died. I think it was, it may have been, not sure.
He's the oldest son?
He was the oldest son.
What happened with you in the time of the war?
What?
How did you
Manage
in the war?
I was in the Kovno ghetto
Uh-huh. And then?
because we couldn't get out. We had the visas, but we were Lithuanians, you see.
Yeah.
So we became Soviet citizens.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get on the train to Siberia.
So, and
So-
afterwards?
So then the Germans came and they put us in a ghetto,
Yeah.
Kovno ghetto. Yeah, this is my picture, Kovno
Oh.
ghetto.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, to Kovno.
In Kovno ghetto, yeah.
And how long did you
Stay there?
Did you stay in the ghetto?
3 years we were staying. Beginning
Until 42,
42.
44.
40,
44.
44. July 44, the Germans took us to Dachau
Uh-huh. And how did you get from Dachau?
by train. The Germans took us by
לא,
train.
מדחו הם שחררו על ידי אמריקאים.
You went back over 1 year?
פחות, ביולי,
In Dachau,
בכל
about a year.
יותר עד מאי. אז
I had a vengeance. This is a picture of me in Dachau putting up the Israeli flag.
but it's many years later.
Years
Yeah,
later?
yeah, sure. But I made it, I said, to spite Hitler, I put up the flag with the Magen David.
But all the years you lived in Israel or in the States?
I lived, that time I was living in the States.
Yeah?
From Dachau you went to?
From
When you
Dachau
were
we
released?
went to,
It's a mine.
I became a soldier in the American Army because I knew English.
Uh-huh.
So I was interpreter
Well,
till
הוא היה
1945.
מתרגם במלחמה,
48
בסוף המלחמה הוא
You
נהיה
were still in
in
Kovno?
German. No,
Germany.
in
Germany.
In Munich.
You were born in 1926?
I was born in 28.
28. So you were in the army, you were still only 17 and you were
Yeah, because I knew
English.
the languages. I
Lithuanian.
knew Russian and German.
And there's also
English.
Lithuanian language?
And there was also Lithuanian language, sure. I was in the CIC, which is a counterintelligence corps.
Counterintelligence?
Corps.
What's called? How do you write?
C-O-U-R-T.
Corps.
It's part of the tzeva of the army.
They were looking for Nazis. And many Lithuanians were hiding in camps, pretending to be workers. And we were trying to find among those who were Nazis in this place. So I had a good vengeance. Found some Nazis among them and they sent them to the Soviet Union.
And sorry, can you tell how you were saved? Could you tell how you were saved when you were in Dachau and how you were
Yes.
in the march that you were in?
Yeah, at the end of the war, I was in the camp, in the main camp of Dachau, and they sent us on a death march from Dachau to the Tyrol Mountains.
To
the mountains of Tyrol. Germans sought to make a stand against the Allies. And on the way, we were about 5 days, most of us died on the way because it was snowing. It was a bad time, no food. And then in the end, on the 2nd of May, we were liberated by the American army. And what happened was that I was lying in the snow and I saw a man looking at me, and he looked like Sugihara. I thought, wow, a Japanese guy. And I thought that, Japanese were fighting with the Germans. I thought, now what? And it was an American soldier, and his name was Clarence Matsumura. And he took me out of the snow, gave me a blanket and gave me some food. And so my connection with the Japanese was not only I met Sugihara, but I was saved by the Japanese American. Yeah.
So what about your family?
Fun.
Your family?
My father survived together with me, and my mother and my sister died in Stuttgart, near Danzig, was a concentration camp.
So you all survived the ghetto, and
I wrote my book, Life on Canvas. In the ghetto, I was keeping a diary, like a human.
yes.
And after the war, I rewrote the book. And then it was published in the United States, in Japan, in Germany.
But sorry, your brother was also killed in the ghetto.
My brother was killed right in the beginning of the war.
In the ghetto?
The ghetto?
No,
Before
we
they
were
were-
trying to run away.
Oh.
But on the way back, my brother was shot by the Lithuanians.
How old was
He was 7 years old. He was 19.
When was that, in 1939?
No, that was in 41.
Before the Germans came?
The Germans came in 41.
The
It
Lithuanian,
was after the Germans came?
After the
yes.
Germans came.
הליטאים שיתפו איתם פעולה.
There's some pictures of me.
מלמד היה בגטו, אברהם מלמד.
Funny poor. Oh, here's the guy who saved me.
Who saved you?
Yeah. Clarence Matsumura. That's in Munich.
What's his name?
Clarence Matsumura.
Clarence Matsamura. זה הציל אותו. הוא מצא את סולי שוכב בשלג.
Let's just go there. There was a Japanese American soldier. It's ironic that there were Japanese American soldiers.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And I think they had the highest casualty rate. The American
Yeah.
Japanese soldiers, they had
had
one
the
of the
highest.
highest casualty rate.
Highest what?
Casualty, most
Yeah.
a lot died.
Really?
That's Kovno in Istanbul.
זה נקרא צעדת המוות? צעדה הזאת?
זה אחת מהן, היו גם עוד צעדות מוות.
זו תמונה שלי
במדים.
כקצין בחיל הים.
פה בארץ?
כן,
So Sonny, can you tell also
זה לא
Sonny can
בארץ.
זה בא,
כן?
בחיל הים הישראלי?
חיל הים.
אז זה
You were in the army?
So Sonny, can you tell also Sonny how after the war your father got a visa and he wanted you to go? Could you tell what happened?
Yeah, my father married a Canadian officer in Germany, and we were going to go to Canada. But I decided to come and join the Israeli army. And that was 1948 when the state was declared. And my captain, the American captain, said, "Are you crazy going to Israel? Everybody gotta be killed there. And all the Arabs attacking Israel, there's no chance in hell to survive." I said, "No, I'm decided to go. I go. Yeah, Khadiva Sheva."
And your father, Sonny, was your father and your sister, did they,
So they went to Canada.
but were they were unhappy that you didn't go?
Yeah,
They wanted you to join them.
And they went to Canada?
They went to Canada. But my father came later, in 1956, he came to Israel. And he died here.
So you were alone here?
I was alone in Khadiva Sheva.
חטיבה 7.
טנקים? טנקס?
איזה טנקים ב-48. זה כאילו היה, כאילו. That's how we looked, that's my friend. That's how we looked in Dachau.
Did you fight in the מלחמת השחרור?
Please.
Did you fight in the war here in Israel, in 48?
No,
Sure.
that's Sonny in Dachau.
We liberated Leon.
נכון.
צה"ל ליברני, חטיבה 7.
Leon כמעט נהרג. Almost got killed in Leon. A bullet came, an Arab was sitting on top of the tomb, על הקבר של רבי יוחנן בר זכריה. וירה עליי, כדור עבר לידיים, לא יכולתי לראות חצי שעה. עד כדי כך זה היה.
בקבר מי? רבי בן יוחאי.
מה?
ליד הקבר של רבי שמעון בן יוחאי.
חטיבה 7 at that time was English speaking חטיבה, because
Yes.
all the mechanic came there.
Who was the commander? You remember?
Who?
Who was the commander?
Yeah,
אלעד
it
פלד.
was a Canadian Lieutenant General, what kind of name?
כאן?
Dunkelman.
דונקלמן.
Dunkelman.
Because,
He was a Canadian officer. And we liberated Galil.
It was part of the Palmach?
there's a lot of volunteers.
לא.
No, not.
הגנה.
הגנה.
Yeah, from Strat.
We know the name of one officer who also was there, Elad Peled.
Who? Pellet?
Ah.
Peled.
He's in Beit Vegan. I met him. He's
מי?
ממש.
פלד?
פלד, הוא בן 90 היום.
כן, הוא
והוא
יכול.
גר בבית וגן.
כן?
הוא דתי או סתם?
אז so עם חנוכה.
הוא דתי?
הוא בא לחנוכה,
בחנוכה?
לחברים שלנו.
זה תמונה אירונית.
גאונית?
זה על יד ראש פינה. אני, תראו את המכונת ירייה, machine gun is a German machine gun.
Oh!
And he had a swastika on it,
Huh?
a swastika.
Was ist Swastika?
גרמני, זה סימל של
Hakenkreuz
הנאצים.
של הגרמנים.
זה נשק קיבלו מצ'כיה.
מצ'כיה, לא?
צ'כיה.
מצ'כיה זה כזה
הוא אמר
שגרמני.
תמונה אירונית, באלף, לא אירונית באלף.
כן, נו בסדר, נו.
לא.
אין
אבל מה זה
מכונת ירייה, את הגרמנית.
שם ה...
כל פעם
כנראה
שיש
זה בית חרושת או משהו.
זה הגיע
כן.
משצ'כוסלובקיה.
Nami, do you want to ask some questions to Sami?
I want to know about
לא ראיתי.
the period of time you were in Dachau.
What?
What can you tell about the time you were in Dachau?
It was very bad. There were 9 months and most of the people died. Because
Hunger?
Died or were killed?
we were working very hard,
Yes.
building underground factory for planes. And we had hardly anything to eat. And our idea was we called it murder by work.
Mm.
The Germans call it murder by work.
Mm.
When I was young and I was lucky that I had a job working for a German kitchen.
Mm.
So I had some food and I could also help my father. And that's what saved us because we had extra rations.
Mm. And before in Kovno's ghetto?
Kovno ghetto was also pretty terrible.
You were in Kovno ghetto?
Kovno ghetto.
Yes, 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
This
What
drone.
was this?
This is after the war.
You?
2 days, no, my friend.
Where?
Near Munich.
But this,
It's the uniform from Dachau.
you had to wear this. But this he meant after the liberation.
After 2 days after the liberation.
No, wait. So in Kovno's ghetto, what do you remember?
I remember that
13 עד 16.
I was, most of the time we were trying to survive because we hoped that the Dutch will lose the war.
Mm.
But the Germans are doing, well, you can read my book, Light One Candle, that's how you do it.
Light for?
Light
This is-
one candle.
From Lithuania to Jerusalem.
Did you have enough food or you were starving?
Pardon?
Was there enough food in the ghetto or they
No,
were starving?
Was not enough food, but we had lucky that the Lithuania had lots of food. And most people were going to work outside for the Germans and used to bring in food from outside because the Russians were starvation battles. Even
How many Jews there were there in the ghetto?
how many more?
How many Jews were in the ghetto?
Well, it started with 30,000.
30,000.
Yeah, you know, Kovno had 120,000 inhabitants, and one quarter of them were Jewish. 30,000 lived in ghetto, in Kovno.
That's called the big ghetto or small?
It was considered 30,000 was not small. But after 2 months in the ghetto, they took out the old people and the young children, and 10,000 were killed right away.
Where?
2 months after.
In Kovno?
No, the fourth at Chi.
The night first.
At the end of the war, I mean, by the time they took us to Dachau, we were left only 5,000
What?
from 30,000. So they killed most of the Lithuanian Jews. You were lucky your father had enough sense to get out.
But
They
my
were
father had a Polish citizenship.
Exactly, but they had enough sense to get, because some decided to stay. They thought the Soviet Union will not be attacked. So not everybody had enough sense to get to, of all places, to Japan, you know. It was not exactly such a good idea.
You know that my father told us once that there were people who said that Nazi Germany is brown, they had brown uniforms,
Yeah,
and the Soviet Union is red,
yeah.
the red flag, and Lithuania will stay pink. That means she will stay neutral.
Same-
But the people who said that didn't have enough realpolitik senses.
Yeah. Ah, here's another picture of the father.
Mhm. This is with Sugihara.
Yeah.
זה התמונה עם סוגihara.
באיזה שנה זה?
69.
לא, 69 בא השגריר,
כן, נו.
וגם סוגיה הגיע לארץ לביקור.
המושל מקורסאו, הוא הגיע גם
69 הוא הגיע?
ב-69.
וגם הוא עכשיו ראיתי, קראתי את זה הרגע בספר.
שניהם באו ב-69?
כנראה.
מי זה שניהם? גם משה.
גם סוגיה עצמו וגם מי שהיה מושל קורסאו ב-1940 ו-41.
נחמן כאן אמר שהוא זוכר את הפגישה הזאת.
Emmanuel, can we turn around?
איזה
So that's
פגישה
your
עם
father
סוגihara?
meeting Sugihara when he came to Israel.
Yes,
Yeah.
1969.
When he, can I ask, did your father, was he instrumental in getting Nabucco to study at the university? Because he came to study here, he got a bursary, and then he came to visit him in, I think, 68, 69.
I think he said that he got a milligram.
מי? הוא.
A scholarship, the son of Sugihara.
הוא זה
That
סן,
learned-
יעד פוליסן.
That was student in Hebrew University.
But when was he student here?
68, in 1968.
I remember that one of the
He
sons
came and
came to eat with us on Saturday
yeah,
night.
I remember too.
He still remembers Hebrew. When I met him, he speaks
Yeah, yeah.
Hebrew. I sent you the video where
How
He speaks
many
Hebrew.
how many children did Sugihara have?
Oh,
Three, no?
I think 4. Sonny, how many?
Okay.
Sonny, how many children? Sonny, how many children did Sugihara have with your Kiko?
4.
4 children.
Hiroki,
Hiroki, and one of them was born in Kaunas, he died. And who else? One of them lived in Japan, I don't remember his name.
and Nabuki.
No, Nabucco is the last one who was here.
Okay, who lost money in jewels?
What?
Who had bad business with the jewels?
In Belgium.
Yeah, Nabucco.
Nabuki.
So I tell you, it's a very nice thing. Nami, if I can just show you, if you can show this. The Japanese ambassador decided to come to ask if he could visit Sonny. So here's a picture with the Japanese ambassador. Sonny, can you tell our very distinguished guest what happened when the Japanese ambassador came to visit you?
Oh, yeah, he burned. this is the
The certificate.
The book?
The certificate.
Ah, this.
You can.
Can I?
If you can.
זה מעניין מה שהם כותבים. פתאום נהייתי השטחן בין היהודים והיפנים. מה לעשות, תראו מה שהוא כותב כמה.
And is it possible to read it?
Yes, I will try.
Very special.
Dear Mr. Ganor, on behalf of Japanese government, I would like to express my sincere appreciation for your significant contribution in deepening mutual understanding between Japanese and Jewish people, and thus promoting bilateral relations of Japan and Israel. Your story, while bringing home the horror of the Holocaust, has touched many people with the courage and compensation shown in the extreme situation. Your account about your encounter with the Japanese diplomat Chiyono Sugihara also remind us of the deep historical bond that exists between our two peoples. I believe that your effort to share your story with so many Japanese people have strengthened the foundation for a greater friendship between Japan and Israel. Best wishes for your health and long life. Sincerely yours, Koji Tomita, Ambassador of Japan.
Very special. Itamar, if you could hold the picture. So this is when he came. I phoned the embassy and I asked them, could I be there? And I had to send a CV and they allowed me to video it. It was very special. He came here for 2 hours. And he sat here in the chair where you are, Itamar, and he was asking questions.
The Japanese ambassador?
The Japanese ambassador
When
came
was
here.
it?
In May. May of this.
In May?
In May, yeah. And
Half a year ago?
Yeah, less than a year ago. And we had an article was written.
You know they're making a movie of my book now in Hollywood.
That would be very good. You could
Who's
just
making
hold
it?
this. This is very nice.
There's some the Hollywood producer by the name of Alexander.
Alexander.
And,
Okay.
it's a funny combination. His father was Jewish from Lithuania, and his mother was from Japan. What a combination.
So here, if I can just show you, this is an article that appeared in the Jerusalem Post, and the woman who wrote it, do you remember her, Leanne? She
Yeah.
wrote a very beautiful article, and she called Sonny a hero's hero. I think it's very fitting, a hero's hero, because Sugihara is a hero, but Sonny was also. So this is an article she wrote when the ambassador.
Why a hero's hero? Why?
Because Sugihara is one of the greatest heroes, and Sonny was also, in his own way, by inviting him, Mr. Sugihara, for the Hanukkah party, for giving tzedakah, he changed Jewish history. Imam has changed Jewish history.
Hero's hero, Genemite.
Sally, what do you know about my grandfather's story? What do you
Sefer
know about my
Tekla?
grandfather's story?
Don't know.
Like a
Grandfather
Yeah,
was
this is our Sefer.
לא, יש לו עותק לתת
and he
לנו.
came to Kovno.
גם אין לי זה
Yes.
חשוב.
He was,
B'la'an Yosef.
when he came to Kovno, he represented the Mizrahi movement.
מסבא.
And he immediately started looking for possibilities of getting visas to get out of Lithuania. But nobody gave visas. They were lined up to Americans and British and French. Nobody gave visas. And the only one who really gave was Sugihara. It was here, the Puma.
And the Dutch consul.
The Dutch was the first one actually, before
Yes,
Sugihara.
before Sugihara.
Schwarzenbeck,
Yeah.
Yes.
and he was represented the Philips company,
Yes.
and he was there, and he was, because they were in the Telzer Yeshiva, there were some Dutch students from
Yeah.
Holland,
Yes.
and they came to, and the real consul of the Holland went to Riga. He got out when the Germans occupied Holland.
Yeah.
So he gave to Spartanbeck the stamp to be the
Uh-huh.
representative.
Riga was also neutral?
No, Riga was Latvia.
No, I mean, who was the boss of Riga? Or
That was,
of,
his name was the
Riga,
Decker.
the Russians or the German? In Riga,
Well, Riga the Germans occupied.
yeah?
Like in Lithuania.
In 1941. But before that it belonged to Russia, or it was neutral?
No, the Russians occupied it for a short time.
Yes.
It was independent. But the ambassador was the Decker. He was the Dutch ambassador. And Pessia Luen, the one that, she was the one that asked if they can go to the Dutch East Indies.
She
And
was
they
the
said,
first one.
she was the very first. And he wrote, no, you can't go there, but you can go to the Dutch West Indies.
What?
I'll show you. Her name was Pessia Luen.
She was the wife of
Isaac
Rabbi
Levin.
Isaac Levin.
Oh,
סבא כותב עליו בספר.
מי?
yeah.
אשתו
הרב
של
לוין,
הרב
אשתו
לוין.
קיבלה את הוויזה לקרסאו,
ראשונה.
ראשונה לפני גוטווירט והחבר
Yeah.
שלו.
He was the very first to give it.
לפני מה? לפני אבא?
לפני גוטווירט
כן.
ושטרנר.
לפני.
לא סוגיה.
So,
כן.
sorry, you know, my grandfather, he came to Sugihara and told him about the opportunity and the way to go from Lithuania to Curacao through Japan. He showed him, because he had the visas to Curacao, he managed to survive and to call a lot of Jewish that do these visas. And then he went to Sugihara and asked him if he can arrange a passing visas.
Yeah.
Transit.
What happened, what I know is that there's two students, from the Tel
Yes,
Yeshiva
yes,
Yes.
came to Sloterdijk
yes.
and tell him what should we do. And he said the only idea I can give you is to go either to Suriname or Curacao.
Yes.
But the thing was that to get in Curacao, you had to have a visa, you didn't need a visa.
Mm-hmm.
What?
But you did need a visa.
Dinner?
You
Didn't need a visa.
Ah, yes.
But what the governor could decide
Could
whether
permit
you
or
can
not,
get
if
if
they'll
you get
come.
in or not.
Yes,
And Schwarzenbeck Machaket.
yes.
So I just want to show you, because it's so important, and I spoke to him tonight, so I'm going to give this to you, and I've made a copy for everyone. So this is an article, I'll just show you. This is the article that the granddaughter wrote. How my grandmother's chutzpah helped Japan's consul save thousands of Jews. And this is Pessia Luen, Levin or Luen, and this is their very first, the Sugihara visa. They are number 16, 17 and 18 on the list. And she got the very first Curacao entry visa. This was Luen, and this is a picture of the son. He was 4 years old when he was in Japan, and the daughter. And they're very prominent lawyers today in America. So I've got a copy to give you each.
And after the students, Gutveld and the other one, I don't remember his name,
Sternheim.
got the permission to
Sternheim.
go to Curacao. They came to my father, and my father told them, go and ask Schwarzen,
Dike.
Yeah.
if he will give those permission to other people that are not citizens of
Holland.
and he agreed.
He agreed.
So a lot of people went to take this permission
That's right.
when they didn't know if it will help or not.
Yeah.
And then my father went to Sugihara and showed him on the map that to Curacao you have to get to Japan and then to Curacao. So they went to Sugihara to get the visas,
Transit visa.
transit visa, to go through Japan to Curacao.
Yeah.
And then, how you get to Japan? You must go through Russia. So they went, they got a permission, it's a long story, a permission to go on the train through Russia to Japan and then to Curacao.
The
But no-
Trans-Siberian
You
train.
know that Sugihara had something to do with it too.
Yeah,
Sugihara
Sugihara gave them the
know that he
permission to
spoke-
Japan.
Sugihara spoke perfect Russian.
Yeah, but
And he was connected to the KGB who was in Kovno.
yeah, but to get the permission, Jewish, to get the permission to go in the train in Russia, Abba spoke with the
Pius Globetskius.
deputy of the Prime Minister of Lithuania, and he was speaking with, I don't know, Stalin was one of the
Stalin.
staff there. Huh?
Maybe we started.
I don't know.
Yes.
But they gave the permission. They asked that Abba will give a reshima,
A
list.
list. of the
a
names.
list of the names. So they got the permission to go through Russia to Japan, and then they didn't go to Curacao.
Dr. Elkes, you remember Dr. Elkes, probably, the Judenrat. So he made the connection between my grandfather and the deputy of the minister of Lithuania at that time. His name was
Yeah.
Pius Globetskius. You know this name?
Lubetsky.
Yeah, Globetskius. He's supposed to be the not the head minister, but
No,
the
the
second.
deputy of the.
Yes.
But it was also, they had to pay money to the Russians. It
Right.
came from the Jewish American Jewish Committee.
Mm,
Pays quite a lot of money per person
yes.
that Americans paid. And paid the guy who was in charge after the Russians came to Kovno,
Mm.
the guy who was connected to Sugihara and the KGB became the ruler of Kovno in Lithuania,
Mhm.
was a KGB guy. And it was not so simple to get through the whole of Russia, Siberia, to all the way to the port to get to Japan. It was not a simple matter.
No, it was a long way.
It was a long way to go.
Yes.
About
My-
11, 12 days on the train, and they were not, didn't got permission to go from the train, to get down from the train.
Also to save the mirror yeshiva.
Yes.
Yeah.
איך הוא מתפקיד?
The job,
Task.
the
The
task.
job,
Task.
the מינוי, so my grandfather was not only the Mizrahi representative, he was the Jewish agency representative in Lithuania. He got the permission from the Jewish agency to go to all the embassies and try to get a permission to get out. So a lot of Jewish, he had a certificate to get them to Israel, like
And those who had money.
those who had money or that married,
Money also.
yeah, money or people
You had
that.
to show that you have £1,000 sterling here.
Yeah, it cost a lot, I know, but maybe and some of them had the certificate before they came from Poland,
That's
so they
good.
can use it. And some of them, he get the permission from the British consul.
Yeah.
That's a big story also. And they get out from Lithuania through Turkey, and they went to Israel, like 3,000 people.
Yeah,
And
that's how my mother,
yes,
not my mother, my wife, she got out of Poland because they had money and they could show to the British that they have money in
they said,
Israel.
where from Poland, where?
They started out from Lodz,
Lodz,
and they had a factory in Lodz.
in factory.
And then they went from Lodz to Warsaw,
Mm-hmm.
and there they got passports from a Polish German
Mm-hmm.
in consulate. They gave them money and they gave them passports, and they got out in
Which year?
July 1940.
94. Oh, wow.
After the war started, when they started to get there, they got out, managed to get out,
Mm-hmm.
and they got to Italy.
Mm-hmm. To Italy.
And they got on a ship to Italy on the way to Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
The Italians declared war,
Yeah.
and the ship was supposed to come back to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
But the British caught the ship, and they took him to Malta. And Malta was bombed by the Germans day and night. At the end, somehow there was a convoy that took the ship to Alexandria. That's how she was saved.
And then she came to Israel.
Yeah.
And you met her here.
Yeah, I met her.
So you lived here a few years and then you went to the States?
We lived here I was here since 48.
Hmm.
Then we went to the States in 1977.
Hmm.
We were in San Diego for 7 years.
Hmm.
For 7 years?
7 years.
And you came back?
San
After 7 years you came back to
We came
Israel?
back here. My daughter decided to go back to the army. She was 18. So we decided to come back here. We had a house here. We decided just to come back here. And then we've been here since then, since 1984.
Nili, can I
And I
ask you?
wrote books. I wrote quite a few
Yeah.
books in German, in Japanese.
You wrote it in English?
I wrote it in English.
Let's translate it.
I translated. I know German. That's the second part of my book.
This is the second part of the book?
The second part of Flight One Candle.
Yes, I'm looking for that from Kendrick.
This is underneath.
And for this?
No, that's
I
another
said,
book.
no, this is the
No.
first
לא,
part?
לא,
This is
מתחת
business
לזה.
for now.
תסתכל מתחת. אתה רואה תנאי?
So Light One Candle, I managed to get on eBay. It's not that easy to get. It's
No, there's a second
today it's
edition.
difficult to get it. It's out of print. But you can get it on eBay. I managed to get it on eBay. Nelly, can I ask you a favor? Could you tell about your father when he went to see Rapfinkel with a mirror and how he because of your father, basically,
Yeah.
that's how the mirror was saved.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that
Yeah.
people. It's a
They-
big thing. What happened? Could you mention?
Yeah, the Bnei Yeshivot, how do you say it in English?
Yeshivas Bukhar.
Yeshivas.
Yeshiva
Students,
book.
the students.
Bnei Yeshivot
Yeshiva students.
didn't at first they didn't go to get the visas because the ראשי הישיבות, the head of the yeshiva, didn't want to split the yeshivot.
The cancel the yeshivas.
Hmm?
You don't want the yeshiva To cancel the issue.
They cancel the yeshiva if anyone will go by himself. And my father went to Rosh Yeshivat Mir, Rav Finkel, and he had a very hard conversation with him.
He went to
because-
Kaiden, she was in Kaiden.
Kedan.
Okay. He went to Kaiden, to the yeshiva. The conversation was very hard because the Finkel didn't want the yeshiva to get lost if everyone will go to another place. But at the end he agreed. And then my father asked them to go and to get the visas of the Dutch or to Curacao, and then to go to Sugihara to have the pass visa, transit visa, and then they went to through Russia, because after my father gave the list, the Russian agreed that the Jewish will go through Russia in the train, but everyone had to get his permission alone.
Yeah.
So the Yeshivat Mir, because Finkel agreed at last, after my father shout and was speaking with him and urged him that he has to save the boys, the yeshiva boys, so they went and take all those visas and transit and went to Japan, and from Japan they went to Shanghai.
It's the only yeshiva that went.
They were
The
saved.
whole yeshiva.
Yeah.
That was saved as a yeshiva, all the boys.
And can I ask, is it very possible that Rabbi Finkel, that he listened to your father because he knew your grandfather?
Yeah.
Your grandfather was very close to the Chazon Ish.
איתי, אולי תגיד כמה מילים
Yeah.
על...
On your
No,
grandfather.
my grandfather knew Rav Finkel, so Rav Finkel was. Yes, they were friends. I think they lived together. Maybe is it Chaim? Don't remember. Ted, maybe in Tez. So Rav Finkel appreciated my grandfather, and he listened to my father, and he persuaded him that they should leave because there's no hope to stay there. So I think that Rav Chaim Sholomish agreed to go, but Rav Finkel was hesitated. But then he decided that the whole yeshiva will leave. And they saved, the yeshiva was saved.
You know, there's many Rabbonim that I've spoken to, Chaim Balkin and many others from the Mir, that know your grandfather's Chiddushei Yerucham.
He was in Israel.
And he wrote Chiddushei Yerucham on the Rambam.
8 books. 8 books.
Yeah, and so he's very well known in the yeshiva world. He was very close to the Chazon Ish,
Yes, he was.
and a lot of the people have read it and they know.
And the Rav Finkel wrote a letter to my grandfather, and he told him about the story of my father
About the
Kovno.
meeting of my father and Rav Finkel,
Yeah.
that my father came and shouted, you must get the visas and so on. So Rav Finkel wrote my father and my grandfather about this meeting.
Oh, really?
And my grandfather wrote it in his book.
There's also, I think, Nini, I mentioned in Reb Chaim Balkin's sister's book, that's just come out now, on Leah Balkin, they quote Reb Chaim Shmulevitz that says we have tremendous karasa tov to Zorach Warhaftig, what he did for the yeshiva.
That's what he told you.
Yeah, it's in a book that's just come out right now. Reb Chaim Balkin's sister, it's about her life, and it quotes, I've got the book, and it quotes Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, who says we have tremendous karasa tov for Zorach Warhaftig.
In the first book my father wrote, Refugee and Survivor, my father mentioned there that Rav Chaim Shmulevitz gave a testimony in Yad Vashem in 1946, and he mentioned there that my father had saving the yeshiva there, the Mir yeshiva.
It's unbelievable. It's such a schut to think that the yeshiva was saved by your father.
Right?
It's one of the greatest schuts in the world. It's the biggest yeshiva in the world
But
and the
it's
most
not
important.
only the yeshiva, all the people
all
that
the-
went to
sure,
Sugiara
sure.
and went to the Dutch embassy.
They said there's more than
Because
6,000.
all the idea
Yeah.
to say, to tell the yeshiva bocher in Gutville and the other one to go to the Schwarzenberg and ask him to give the visas also to one who is not a Jew. It was a great
Not
thing.
Not
Dutch.
not Dutch.
Dutch is a great thing.
It's unbelievable.
Because otherwise they didn't think about it at all.
תראה לי את החלק השני.
הנה.
Also the most amazing thing, Nelly, is that your father in the video that they have, he could have easily gone back. He had a certificate to come back to Palestine, and he could have.
Yeah.
He didn't have to, and your mother as well. She was pregnant with
Right.
Emmanuel. They didn't have to sacrifice their lives.
Right.
They did it for Am Yisrael.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
It's
And in
unbelievable.
It's one of the greatest heroes of
This is-
modern Jewish
and-
history.
and-
On
Really?
the
So-
list to Russia, he wrote his name and
He put his
wife
name.
and Emmanuel the first
Yeah.
place.
Your father is one of the greatest
Uh-huh.
modern heroes of modern Jewish history. There's no
Yes.
question.
But it's not known so much.
Well, we're getting it now.
Now we're getting there.
We're getting
yeah.
it, and it.
No,
and
even
and
the
people do-
picture,
When
the
you were
picture
in
that they are going to make. In Hollywood?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah.
No, it's about his life.
It's about his life.
Okay,
Yes.
but
And it's from that time.
I believe that they talk about Sugihara and
This
all
is up to
the
45,
connection.
and this is
So
from
they have
45.
to know
But
about
who-
what my father.
For sure, absolutely, absolutely. There's no question.
They have to know who is making
Uh-huh.
this film.
You know, did you see this from Curacao?
I gave it to you.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I gave it to you. That's the stamps
What?
of.
Mm.
These are the
Ah.
stamps that I used to get from Sugiara
Ah,
when I was a boy.
I think it's from Mozambique. Those stamps are.
Mozambique. No, Mozambique.
You know that maybe the only one who got to Curacao is Gottwald. He
Yeah,
got to
I think-
Curacao. Yeah,
I saw somebody was.
yeah, it's on the book.
Really?
He got to Curacao. The other one, I don't remember his name.
Sternheim.
Abba didn't know if he was captured by the Japanese and was sitting in a, איך אומרים מחנה שבויים?
מה?
Yeah.
Capture.
Prisoners camp.
איך?
Prisoner,
Camp.
מחנה
camp
שבויים.
of prisoners.
Good word. The family survived. They live
Or
in.
he died. they
No, the
don't
family
know.
of-
But
of-
Gottwald got to Curacao.
But the family survived. They're in Belgium today. They
So that
live.
nobody went there.
Huh?
Nobody arrived there to Curacao.
Gottwald got there.
Oh, so these are the
But
stamps.
the Bashar said that he will not allow anybody to come there.
But he was Dutch.
Like the Dutch.
So he...
Mm. Sure, so I'll just show you. Here's also in the Mishpacha magazine, and I made a copy for you, for each of you. So, Moni, if you could just. They did an
This?
interview. Yeah, they did an interview with Sonny 10 years ago,
Yes.
nearly 10 years ago, in Mishpacha magazine.
Mm.
And also, a lot of the people don't know when you speak about the Mir. A lot know that it went to Shanghai, but a lot even don't even know Sugihara. But now they really want. A lot of people, when you tell them, they want to know, and they just have to. They want to know how to find out more information. But with your father and your grandfather, it's so important that people should know this exactly
It's
what he
really
did.
important.
You have to go to the new.
So Bemet Tadarabah.
תודה לך.
This is
תודה לך
amazing. This
שאתה-
is
What,
עוזר לנו.
what make you so interested in the stories? Because of your family roots?
is the story of the Mir and the story of Sugihara and Sali and your father and Luan. There's nothing. It's like the most amazing story in
כל
Jewish history.
הכבוד.
Reb Chaim Walkin said something amazing. Your uncle, Yaakov, is very close with Chaim, Reb Chaim Walkin. And he said the story of the Mir and how it escaped is like Purim. It's one miracle after another. It was Yad Hashem. It was, and your father had, and your grandfather had such an important role to play.
Yes, it's true.
So, mamash toda rabah, toda shebatem.
Thank
Thank you so much for coming.
I would
our
like you to
pleasure.
send me the